What's up, everyone out there? It's your boy Seti at Seti Knows Tech, and recently I've been receiving some emails, not emails, but messages I should say, from users asking about tablets. They want to get themselves a tablet or get their child a tablet or a spouse a tablet for like maybe Christmas or something, and they're asking which tablet should I get, and if I was trying to do a particular, job, whatever that might be, what tablet would be best for that. Well, I'm here today to talk about that. We're going to talk about Android tablets. We're going to talk about the iPads, Apple, and which of those should we get, and under that, all the categories that's under those tablets, which ones we should be looking at and for why. But before we get into any of that, you know what time it is? Cue my intro. So as you might very well know, that when it comes to tablets, first of all, I'm going to exclude quote-unquote tablets such as the Surface Pro X by Microsoft. And the reason why is not that the Surface Pro X is bad. I don't really view it as a tablet. It's more of a computer that's in a tablet form factor, which makes it a great laptop, but a kind of poor tablet. When I think of tablets, I'm thinking of, a device that's in a tablet form factor that has the OS and the interface to kind of be used in a tablet fashion, such as touch interface and things of that nature, where that is kind of the weak point for the Surface Pro X. So we're going to kind of take that off the table. So that leaves us with Android and Apple, the iPad. Now I know this is going to be subjective, but when I think about tablets, not phones, but tablets, let's kind of remove Android from that as well. And the reason why is that while Android makes a great operating system and great phones, when it comes to tablets, they kind of faltered and fell flat. And it's not because of Android, it's just because the developers that build various Android applications really haven't taken the time yet to build a tablet app to complement their phone app. And a lot of times what you end up getting on your Android tablet is just the phone app that was kind of scaled out on a tablet form factor, which doesn't make it a good tablet application. Whereas the developers for Apple are, iOS developers. A lot of them have taken the time to build their iPad apps and make them different enough and to utilize the capabilities and the form factor and the screen real estate of of the iPad compared to the iPhone. So it makes the iPhone great phone apps and it makes the iPad apps great tablet apps. So this is not a bash against Android. This is just the way it is. It's even so that a lot of companies that were building Android apps have kind of exited the market, leaving, I think, the only real developer that's still building tablets for Android is Samsung. And they make actually decent tablets, but what's going to happen, you're not going to see the apps that you would see something like on an iPad, and they're not going to be set up and utilized the same way that you would use on your phone. They just didn't cross over very well. And like I said, that's not a dig at Google or Android. It makes a great operating system and great phone apps and phones and so forth. It's just that a lot of the competitors just kind of left the market and kind of seceded that market over to Apple for the time being. So let's talk about iPad apps, because if you're serious about a tablet and you want the best experience with a tablet, you're going to definitely want to get an iPad. That's just the way it is. Like I said, I know that's subjective, but you can look at the market and just look at the people that's using tablets. They tend to use iPads just because, and that's not by coincidence, is that the iPad right now, when it comes to the tablet market, iPad is owning that right now. And that's not opinion, that's fact. So let's look at the iPads and the various offerings that Apple gives for that and which one you should choose for your next tablet. Now, when it comes to the Apple iPad, Apple has a variety of iPads to kind of fit every category of user and use cases, things that you might use your iPad for. Everything from ultra portability with the iPad mini all the way to iPads that rival top-end laptops and desktops with the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Me personally, I rock multiple iPads. I currently rock the iPad mini. This is probably my most go-to device because of the portability and the form factor. This is the latest iPad mini 5 that came out maybe about a year and a half ago maybe. They did an update the iPad mini. We'll talk about this, but this is my go-to iPad that I use for most things just because of the portability and what I can do with it. And when I need to do some serious work, I rock this bad boy. This is my iPad 12.9 2020 version, top of line everything, 1 terabyte hard drive and everything. This is what I do a lot of my work on, from coding to video editing a lot of times. Matter of fact, this video that you're watching now was edited on this device here. So that is that. But you also have things such as my wife's iPad, which is the iPad Pro 11 inch. So you have options like that if you're looking for something that's more, in the middle between a mini and the 12.9 inch. You have something like this. My children, they both rock. Well, my son rocks an iPad mini as well, whereas my daughter, she has an iPad Air. And basically what I'm saying is that there are iPads for everything, from, like I said, from ultra portable to ultra powerful. So let's go ahead and get started just by looking at it kind of one by one. We'll start with the iPad mini. So if you're looking for the most portable iPad that's powerful and can do basically everything that you can do on an iPad, then look no further than the iPad mini. This is probably my most used iPad of the two that I have, because I use this particular iPad for basically everything. I use it for note taking. I use it for sketching designs. I use it for, even if I'm in a crunch, for video editing. I play games on it and so forth. Netflix and all that consume media and stuff. So if you're looking for the I ain't gonna say the best, I'm gonna say the most portable, powerful iPad, then maybe you should look at the mini. It starts at, price wise, it starts at about $399, and it can go all the way up to, I think, $679 if you get it fully kitted out. With with the Wi-Fi and cellular versions. This one is a fully kitted out one. It's 256 gigs of space with hooked into the Verizon network as well. So if you're looking for, in that price range, for something ultra portable and small, this is going to be the smallest iPad you can get. So if you want something that you can just kind of throw in a bag or carry with you everywhere, which is what I kind of do, you're going to want to maybe possibly look at the iPad mini. So basically, I'm telling you all the good things about it. What's the cons, maybe? So okay, so you said everything that's good with it. What's bad? The same thing I love about it could be the con for it. I like its ultra portable size, and I guess this size could be a con. If you got maybe bad eyes, maybe. Because it is smaller, everything will be kind of constrained in more. It's not bad. It still resolves out real nicely. You can see everything easily and so forth. But compared to like your 12.9 inch iPads, of course, things going to be smaller because it's in a smaller form factor. So that could be a con in itself. But it can do 99.9% of the apps that's out there. It can actually do them and run them without issue. Like I said, I play some of the most demanding games on this: Call of Duty Mobile, Clash of Clans, Hearthstone, things of that nature. Like I said, I take notes on this thing. I do a lot of stuff on this device without problem. Like I said, this is my go-to device. A lot of people who's in that type of life either use this or have it also. So that'll give you an indication. A lot of companies actually use this particular iPad for like point of sale systems. Like I seen the hospitals use to check patients in. The form factor, the portability of this device opens it up to a lot of different things for various people, and that's probably why it's still a a hot seller for Apple is because it can do so many things. So if you're looking for the most, like I said, most portable yet powerful iPad, this can possibly be it right here. The iPad mini, like I said, it comes in, it starts at what spacing, 64 gigs and goes to 256 gigs. So that's the two configurations, either 64 gigs or 256. I would definitely say get the 256. Don't even waste your time with the 64 gig version. It's just not enough space on there. So my recommendation, if you're going to go with the iPad mini, is to get the color that you want, which is silver, space gray, and I believe gold. Get the 256 gig version, and you can get the Wi-Fi version. That's fine. If you want to be able to kind of take it out and about with you and have it hooked to the internet and all that kind of stuff easily, then you can go ahead and opt also for the cellular version. And that, like I said, that would be like $679, I believe, something of that nature. But if you just want to get it, just, it starts at $399 for the Wi-Fi version only with the 64 gigs of RAM, which is, I say no, it's just too small. So definitely get 256 gig version, and then whatever options you want to add to it. So next week, let's look at the standard iPad. So let's talk about the iPad itself. This is the iPad. So you got the iPad mini, and the next line for that is just the iPad. That's it. It's just, the name is just iPad. The iPad is going to be your cheapest iPad that you can get into the iPad tablet, market with when it comes to Apple. It starts at $329, and it comes in, it's a 32 gig version and a 128 gig version. And from a spec perspective, like, internals and so forth, it's basically the same thing as the iPad mini, just larger. It's still a larger iPad, not huge. It's like your standard iPad, I think 10 point something, inches and so forth. And it's a good iPad. It's great for children. If you're trying to get your child a iPad for school or whatever, it's great for that. Like the iPad mini, it also uses the Generation 1 Apple Pencil. So if they want to better write on their tablet and so forth, they can. All the iPads now have a stylus, the Apple Pencil, that can be used on it, whether it be the Generation 1 or the Generation 2 Apple Pencil. So the iPad mini and the iPad uses the Generation 1 Apple Pencil, whereas the iPad Air and the iPad Pros utilizes the Generation 2 Apple Pencil. So let's just kind of get that out of the way. Like I said, if you're going to go with the iPad and you're looking for the cheapest entry into the iPads, then the standard iPad will do. It's like I said, internals is the same as the iPad mini, so it's rocking a A12 Bionic chip. Yes, an A12 Bionic chip. So it's powerful. It's not as powerful as your A14s and your chip that's found in the A14 that's found in the iPad Airs, or the the processors that's found in the iPad Pros, but it's not weak either. So you can still run 99.9% of the apps that's on that Apple App Store and stuff like that without problem. You can still play all your games. The only recommendation I would give for that is to go with the 128 gig. Because like I said, don't go with the 64 gig version on the iPad mini. To me, it's just not enough space. It's definitely not enough space for the 32 gig version that's on the iPads. Like I said, it starts at 32 gigs for the cheapest model, which is $329 or $349, something like that. That's just not enough space. By the time Apple puts their stuff on it to make the iPad run, and you download a few apps, you basically have no room for anything, pictures or anything like that. So I would definitely say get the 128 gig version of the iPad. You can get it, and once again, you can get it in the whatever color you're looking for: silver, space gray, and gold. And with that, you can also get the cellular add-on to it if you want to, so that you can run it over like AT&T, Verizon, and things like that. Then that option's up to you, but definitely go with the 128 gig version, just because the 32 gigs, the entry level for 32 gigs is just not enough. And you'll be kicking yourself for not spending the little extra money to upgrade to the 128, and then whatever options you want to add on to that. So the iPad Air, the iPad, what is it? Who is that target market? Kids, children, students, and things like that. They just want a simple iPad that they can run their apps on, social media, Netflix, consume media, maybe take notes on sketching, drawing. It's a great iPad. All these iPads are great. You won't go wrong with any of them as far as which one you're getting. It really comes down to what you're going to use it for. So whereas the iPad mini is used for, you want an iPad that's very powerful, but yet very portable. The iPad is portable. It's a little larger, but it's more geared for, if I had to guess, more for children, students, and things of that nature. Or just, I'm just trying to get, I just think the iPad, but I don't want to spend a ton for it. Then you can get the cheapest entry into that with the standard iPad. So with that said, let's talk about the iPad Air and who is the iPad Air for. So the iPad Air, so if you're looking for, if I had to say for most users, if I had to recommend an iPad to most users, that's, just kind of all around, I would say start looking at the iPad Air. They just released a new update for it. It is awesome. The iPad Air is awesome. With the new release, it comes with the latest chipset from Apple, which is the A14. They're very powerful. They're very powerful devices, and it now looks a lot like now the iPad Pros, with the kind of more, I ain't gonna say boxy design, but the more flat design on the sides and things of that nature. And like I said, it utilizes a pen. They utilize the second generation Apple Pencil, so you get all the benefits of the low latency pencil and things of that nature. Not saying that the first generation is bad. The first generation is awesome, but you just get a lot more finesse and more refinements with the Generation 2 pencil, and that's what the iPad Air uses as well. There's more color options with the iPad Air, like blue, green, silver, space gray, and such. So you get a lot more color options with the iPad Air, and the iPad Air also has the ability to utilize the Apple Magic Keyboard, which is the keyboard add-on that you can kind of convert your iPad into a not full laptop, but into a more laptop-like device. I use that on my 12.9 inch, which we'll be talking about next. But yes, so basically the iPad Air is about the same form factor basically as the iPad. So as far as how heavy it is and portability is, how portable it is, it's still portable like the iPad. It's just more powerful. It's more powerful. Got a lot more color options. It utilizes some of the newer technology that Apple has released, such as the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil Generation 2. It has the new design of the iPad Pros. So and it has the latest chipset, that the A14 that Apple has released. So a lot of people, if I had to say which iPad would I recommend people to kind of get, would be the 256 gig iPad Air. There's the 64 gig and the 256. So it kind of looks like the, like I said before, don't get the 64 gig. It's just not enough space. I know it's cheaper, but it's just not enough space. And by the time you get your updates installed and get a few apps on there, you're not gonna have a lot of room for anything else. Now, unless you're trying to do something like, this intended purpose to run like one app or a handful of apps, that's not gonna take up a lot of space. Then, I can see that like if a person's buying the iPad mini, for instance, for like a point of sale system, the only thing they're gonna have on there is the point of sale software and the device they use for the point of sale. Okay, that I can understand, but for general users, you're gonna want more space. I believe it starts at I want to say $5.99. Yes, it starts at $5.99 for the 64 gig version. It kind of goes up from there depending on how much space you have. Well, the only other space option is a 256. So if you go with the 256 gig and you add the cellular and things like that, it goes up a little bit more for that. But I would recommend that. So if you're gonna get an iPad and you're gonna put a little money into it, I would say go with the iPad Air, and then you add whatever accessories, pencils you want to it, and things of that nature, and like the Magic Keyboard and things like that. And then I'll say get the 256 gigs, the other storage option, just because that'll give you enough space to kind of do what you want to do, get apps installed, and you still have space for like photos and things to that nature. The good thing about all these iPads, from the mini to the Pros, is that all the iPads utilize what is called iPad OS, which is the operating system that's released by Apple for the iPads. So they all utilize that OS. And no matter what iPad you get, your iPad can last you. It can last. It's not uncommon to see an iPad last 4 or 5 years easily. Um, Apple don't really just build the next iPad to start to phase out the one before it. But people tend to buy iPads, and they're not like me that switch out every year. But like my wife, for instance, she has her iPad, and she will not update the iPad until it basically falls out of the update cycles. Like when it gets to the point where it's kind of too weak for the current out OS, which is about 4 years out, then she'll upgrade then. But where I like, because I'm a tech nut, I'll upgrade every year and so forth. And it just depends on what you're wanting to do with it. But if you're looking for longevity, any of these iPads will work. You just have to make sure you get the one that's going to allow you to do what you want with your iPad. So if I had to say the best one all around, I would definitely say the iPad Air, 256 gigs. You can go Wi-Fi only, or you can go Wi-Fi with the cellular. This way you can hook into Verizon, AT&T, and so forth. I'll let you decide if you want to pay the added cost to do that. But I would definitely say the best iPad bang for your buck for longevity and just power and what you can do with it, I would definitely say the iPad Air. So with that said, we basically got one more category of iPads, and that is the big mama of them all, the iPad Pros. So let's get into that. So if you're looking at getting an iPad Pro, then there's probably a reason why you're going with the iPad Pro. The iPad Pro is your most expensive device. It's your most expensive iPad device, period. But they're also your most powerful iPad devices. When you get an iPad Pro, you're looking at not just a tablet, but you're possibly looking at replacing your laptop or desktop computer, which a lot of people have done with their iPad Pros. So you like, you know what? I want a tablet and I want a computer that can do everything I need to do for the most part. And then if you're looking at that, then you're probably looking at an iPad Pro. The iPad Pros come in basically two size configurations, I should say. They have the 11-inch iPad Pro, and they have the Mac Daddy and Big Daddy of them all, the 12.9 iPad Pro. So depending on how portable you want it, depends on what size you want to get. The good thing about the iPad Pros is that they're pretty much the same device, no matter if you get 11-inch or the 12.9-inch. They just, the biggest difference is the size, 11-inch, 12.9-inch. So, that's something that you can decide what you want. I've seen people do amazing things with both configurations with no problem. Both iPads can utilize the Magic Keyboard. And when I say the Magic Keyboard, I'm basically talking about a device like this where, you have the keyboard mechanism and the hinge system, so you can use it literally like a computer. It also has the built-in mouse trackpad for using the mouse and so forth. So it really starts to, I'm not gonna say replace, because it couldn't replace my laptop yet, but I use it like a laptop replacement. I find myself when I'm doing work, when I'm just doing around the house work, or I'm in meetings, or I'm doing things like that, I tend to take, like for work, I take my iPad mini everywhere I go. But when I gotta get work done, a lot of times I'm working on my iPad Pro 12.9-inch. This is, like I said, for all transparency, this is the 2020 version with 1 terabyte. So this is like the top line spec. This is like the top that you can go. But you can also get the 2018 version as well, 2019, 2018. They're just as powerful. There was little difference in them. So if you can find it cheaper, like if you go like the 2018 version, and you're not a tech nut. Like for instance, I don't have to have a LiDAR sensor. I never use mine, but I got it. But things like that, then you definitely save a few bucks by going with the 2018, 2019 model. Instead of the 2020 model that came out recently. These iPads can be used for everything. I literally use this iPad for everything, from simple things such as surfing the web, writing, in office, typing my maybe papers in office, sketching, drawing, things like that. to programming. I can actually code on this machine using remote servers and so forth. I use this iPad for everything, and it works so well. Sometimes I'm working on it, and it feels like I'm on my MacBook because it runs that well. When I say that the iPad Pros are powerful, these machines are outpacing and outperforming dedicated laptops and desktops. It's that powerful. So would I recommend this for everybody? No, they're expensive. They're ultra expensive. Matter of fact, you can easily spend close to $2,000 when everything, by the time you add on Apple Care and keyboards. Like keyboards, like was it $399, almost $400 and things like that. You can spend close to that, or a little over $2,000 on a configuration I have for this particular iPad Pro. So that's definitely not for everybody. Not everybody got $2,000 just to be dropping on an iPad. I do it because this is what I do for a living. This is my craft. This is my art. So I use the top of line devices for what I do. But if you're just more casual user, traditional user for school and things like that, the iPad Air is definitely for you, or the iPad, or the iPad Mini, just depending if you're looking for portability. The iPad Pro is for a more professional person. And when I say professional, I'm not knocking people who don't use it. I'm just saying it's for a person who's using it for artists. I see a lot of artists, digital artists, use iPad Pros. They replacing their Wacom digitizers and digital sketchboards for that. Once again, see, that's a part of their craft, that's their art, that's their job. So they're getting the top of line equipment for that. I'm saying developers, coders, programmers like myself use it for doing everything from coding to sketching their designs and systems and system diagrams and things like that. Can it do everything that the other iPads can do? Yes, I can still do Netflix and Office and Google and all that kind of stuff. It's just that it's more power here. It's just more raw power on these devices. I'm seeing a lot of not just video people use it to chop up their videos and compile their videos using something like LumaFusion. Matter of fact, this video right here will be done on this machine utilizing LumaFusion. I'm still kind of crossing over to Final Cut on the PC, but not PC, on the Mac. But it's just so easy. I done got so used to LumaFusion, I just tend to go to it a lot to get things done. But that's how powerful this particular MacBook is. Not MacBook. I keep saying MacBook because it feels like a MacBook, but this particular iPad is. Matter of fact, for like we're talking about videographers and so forth, I'm seeing video people cut 4K footage on this particular device. So like I said, price-wise, it's expensive. Matter of fact, let's talk about that. So the iPad Pro, like I said, you have the 11-inch Pro and you have the 12.9-inch Pro. The starting price for the 11-inch Pro is, I believe, $799, and the starting price for the 12.9-inch Pro is $999. And when I say $799, that's, I think, 128 gigs. And yes, this is probably the first device that I can say you can probably get the base configuration, and that can serve as enough space for you, because that thing starts at like 128 gigs of RAM. 128 gigs of space for both of them, and go all the way up to 1 terabyte. And when you get into that 1 terabyte on the 12.9, I believe it's around, was either, I think like $13 or $1,400 for that 1 terabyte version. And so forth, because it gets expensive quickly. Then you start adding on Apple Care. Then you add on, like I said, Apple Pencil. The Apple Pencil Generation 2 is I think like $130. I want to say something like that. $130. It's over $100. And then you get the keyboard for it. So you're looking at a minimum about $250, $299, something like that for the 11-inch, and $399 for the 12-inch. Like I said, with the iPad Pros, you buy them for a particular reason, or you just want the absolute best that's out there. Because by the time you start adding on all the accessories and the Apple Care, you can quickly start to approach that $2,000 price point for your iPad Pro. So would I recommend the iPad Pro to everybody? No. Will I recommend it to people that's video editors, programmers, art designers and sketchers and things of that nature? Yeah, I can see people like that picking it up, and that's who it's intended for. So powerful device, probably not for everybody unless you absolutely just got the cash to do it and you just want the absolute best. But just like all the other iPads, it runs iPad OS, the latest version of that. It can do all your other things such as, like I said, YouTube, Netflix, media consumption, Disney Plus, all that kind of stuff that you'll do on all the other iPads. You can do like that here because it's so powerful. You can play all the games, but that's pretty much true across all the iPads for the most part. I haven't had a problem kind of utilizing games and all that kind of stuff with any iPad. With the iPad Pro, you can get away with the base configuration with no problem. So if you get the intro level, like the 128 gig hard drive, I'll probably recommend still get at least a 256 gig. But with the iPad Pros, you're paying more up front, so it is what it is. If you say, you know what, this is the budget that I have for this, and now with that budget, if I want to get anything else, I need to get the baseline. Hey, I ain't mad at you because I understand. So just get what you need, and these iPads will last a while. So that's why I said these iPads can last 4 and 5 years. So think in that term. If you're going to hold on to your device for that 4 or 5 year, think ahead a little bit and be like, yeah, I might only use X amount of gigs of space today, but in 5 years I might use more. So you might want to think like that, because you can't replace this stuff. Like you can't add hard drives and stuff like that internally to it. So whatever you buy, you're kind of stuck with until you buy another one. So make sure you plan accordingly when it comes to that. So with that said, that's what I want to talk about today. So in a nutshell, let's just kind of recap everything. If you're looking for the best portability, the smallest, most portable iPad, definitely go with the iPad Mini. The 256 gig version, can't go wrong there. If you're looking for the best, the cheapest, and the kind of easiest entry into the iPad, especially if you got children and things like that, this is what it's intended for. If this is going to be used for gaming and nothing drastic, then you can definitely get away with the iPad, the standard iPad. Get at least, was it 128 gigs, the 128 gig storage. Don't get the 32 gig version. It's just not enough space. Like I said, the iPad, all of them have keyboards that you can use. So if you want to use it like a quasi laptop replacement and so forth, you can. You can pick up the smart keyboard, or if you have one of the other ones, the Magic Keyboard, such as the iPad Air or iPad Pros. You can definitely do that. You'll love that as well. If you're looking for the best all-around iPad, this is the best. This is the steady one that I recommend most people. Go with the iPad Air. You can pick your color. You can utilize the latest technology. You can use the Apple Pencil Generation 2, whereas the iPad Mini and the iPad use the Apple Generation 1. Not a knock. That's just what it is. Then I would say to go with the iPad Air. Get at least the 256 gig version. And then whatever color, and if you want to hook them to the Verizon or AT&T network, whatever, that choice is up to you. But that's the one I would recommend for most people. And if you are either just a tech nut, got the money to burn, or you are a professional artist, developers, you just doing some hardcore stuff with your iPad, then that's where the iPad Pros come in at. 11-inch and 12.9 inch, just depending on how big you want it. The 12.9 is a big device. The 11-inch is more refined and more portable than the 12.9 inch, but you can't go wrong either way. It just depends on what you're using your device for. So and with the Pros, that's the one that I would recommend. Not recommend, but I can say you can get away cleanly with one with the baseline of 128 gigs of storage, whether no matter if it's 11-inch or the 12.9 inch, and then you can add on, of course, the cellular version, the keyboards and the pencils and all that, depending if your budget allows it or if that's what you want or not. So with that said, that is the Apple lineup of iPads. They have an iPad for everyone and for every use case. So if you like content like this and want to see more of it, please consider smashing that like button and also the subscribe button. It'll help me and the channel a lot. Also, if you want to see more content like this and further content, around these kind of topics, definitely hit the subscribe button. And I thank you just for watching this. Happy holidays. And as always, until the next one, stay geeky, stay techie. SETI out.